Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to your KSB Daily Legislative Update for March 31st, last day of the month, last day of the quarter. We are still kind of recovering from the long day yesterday and the actions that were taking place around Senate Bill 2119 and the budget. But before we kind of recap that a little bit, we do have a little bit of news for today. Leah, you were watching the Senate debate this morning on the Civics Bill, House Bill 2039.
Yes, Mark. The Senate spent about 2 hours today debating House Bill 2039, which is a passion project of House Education Chair Steve Hubert. And there was quite a bit of debate about whether this bill was needed, whether, we all know that much of, the content is already taught and required of students already. But the Senate, during the course of its debate, adopted an amendment from Senator David Haley of the Kansas City area that not only, so the bill would not only require the civics test, but Senator Haley's amendment says that students will also have to take and pass a course in personal financial literacy. Looking at his amendment, it's somewhat similar to Representative Adam Thomas's financial literacy bill in the House, which we have opposed. So the Senate adopted that amendment and then did move the bill to final action by voice vote. That final action recorded vote has not yet taken place. We expect the Senate to continue debating some other bills for quite a while yet today, but we'll keep you posted on whether that bill passes on a final recorded vote in the Senate.
Normal course of things, and I guess what's most likely is that would go to a conference committee. Of course, the House has a separate financial literacy bill. And so I think that is kind of indicating to us there's probably going to be a civics bill and a financial literacy bill of some kind. We do have a lot of concerns, as Leah said, about kind of the legislature getting involved in requirements, both kind of in the state board's curriculum and graduation setting standard and local boards. And then there are just some practical things, for example, of when these bills would take effect and how long students would have to get ready to comply to them. So
again, there's quite a bit of discussion of that in the Senate too. So
we'll
a lot of work yet to be done.
Those. Absolutely. And that probably brings us to a little bit what we want to kind of conclude with a little bit here today. Some things for you to think about as you may have a chance over the Easter weekend to have any interaction with legislators or respond. Of course, there are still a couple days before the weekend, but the legislature is kind of wrapping up. And again, guys, I'll throw out a couple things and then we can just a little bit of discussion before we finish up. Part of it is we've been trying to nail down a little bit more what the 2% cut would entail. If you didn't see our report yesterday or see this morning, when the House adopted its budget in a bill that did not include K-12 education, all the Department of Education appropriations were in 2119. But in the House Budget Bill 2397, an amendment was adopted that basically put a 2% cut off of everything that has been approved for this year. So it's not necessarily a cut below last year. It's basically saying whatever has been approved for this year so far, whether last legislature or this legislature, roll that back 2%. For K-12 education, what it looks like that would mean is about a $48 million cut in base state aid, which of course would delay, not comply with the Gannon increases. At a minimum, it would delay that progress to where we should be. Cuts in local option budget state aid, of course, have a disproportional impact on low wealth districts who get more state aid. High wealth districts don't get any, which raises equity issues that the court has looked at. Cuts in capital outlay state aid have the same impact, disproportionate impact, requiring lower districts to either take a bigger cut or raise taxes to come up with it. A cut in special education aid, of course, just further contributes to the underfunding of the formula, requiring transfers from other areas, and could raise some issues around the federal maintenance of effort requirement that we know is out there. And then, of course, reminding people that any of these reductions in aid, what do school districts spend their money on, particularly for these programs? Well, they spend it on people. They spend it on salaries. And so the reality is this is likely to mean districts would have less money available for pay increases that we've been trying to do to get more competitive with other states and other employers, or have to cut back or not expand positions, jobs in school districts to focus on helping students. So there's a lot of concerns all the way around that we don't know whether the legislature fully understood. We'll be getting out information to you, but it's never too early to start thinking about what would this mean for your district? What would it mean for your students? And being prepared to share that, because the House will almost certainly have to vote on this again. The Senate has not voted on this. So that's kind of some new things in addition to what we've talked about in 2119. Guys, what are you thinking about today as we kind of look for an early end of this week?
Well, I think you mentioned it, Mark. With the House has already gone until Tuesday, and the Senate is probably going to wrap up this evening and be gone until Tuesday. And so between now and then, if there's an opportunity to talk with your legislator, and if they voted against these bills, which is our position, please thank them for doing that. They're under a lot of pressure from legislative leadership to pass these bills. If they voted against them, just kind of hear them out. What's their concerns, and see if you can address those concerns. Because as Mark has pointed out, this 2% cut, 2% doesn't sound like a lot, but it would really hit our schools in an equitable way. And, unlike the rest of the budget, school finance is under sort of a court order. And so, that's an important thing to point out. And of course, the odd thing is the House kind of has two positions on the budget now, this 2% cut, and it has the total Gannon funding in 2119. But of course, 2119 has a lot of things that we don't like too. So please, if you see your legislator in the grocery store buying those Peeps or dye kits for their Christmas eggs, talk to them a little bit about school finance.
Leah, anything you want to add? Leah's been spending the day listening to the Senate, so she's probably in kind of a different mindset. Okay, well,
Mute.
Scott, you said it very well. We need to keep the lines of communication open. I know people are going to be pleased with some, disappointed with others. Just have to keep talking and always bring it back to, what do these decisions mean for your district? What do they mean for your students? If you need help on any of the talking points, facts, let us know. If you want to try to respond to things you're hearing from your legislators, we'll do our best to help you. And again, the House vote was very close. There's probably going to be the chances of shifting back and forth. The Senate, the vote on the budget was a little bigger, but we already hear legislators saying, look, we had to move the process along, long way to go. That's all true. But right now, we're really staring at the position of some cuts in school funding. And to avoid that, it's going to be critically important to explain what those dollars go to and how they differ from the COVID money. You're certainly going to be hearing schools are getting $1.3 billion, and you can't take a $50 million cut. But the problem is the $50 million, $80 million, wherever it is going to come out of permanent operations. The federal money is all one-time money tied to COVID response, has to be used for those purposes, and in a few years is going to be spent and gone. And then the question is the legislature going to be able to replace those dollars? So be aware of all of that. So I think we'll wrap up now. We are planning to do our normal Friday update in a little more detail. So we'll hope some of you can join us then. But if not, have a great Easter weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week when things get started.